Rather than large, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal as usual. Now, we have played a goalless draw with Luton Town, but that is game number 2. The Arsenal failed to score even after fielding our best 11. The likes of Saka, the likes of Gabriel Martinelli have actually played in that game, but Arsenal failed to score. Is it time for Arsenal to go out in the market and find a striker? And the question in this video is that Mikel Arteta and Edu are now focusing on finding a replacement for Gabriel Jesus in January. Which players are you guys thinking about? Which players do you have in mind? Which strikers would we or should we sign in January? Let me know your thoughts and your opinions and options in the comment box below. Cedric Suarez could be leaving Arsenal in January, according to Alex Crook from TalkSport. Arsenal and Fulham are very close to an agreement between them for Cedric Suarez to leave. We're going to be talking about Gabriel Martinelli's new role that Mikel Arteta is going to create for him when Mudryk arrives, and Alexander Zinchenko's role in the signing of Mudryk. But most importantly, in this edition, the Telegraph are saying Stan Kroenke has told Edu and Mikel Arteta that he's going to be backing them until the end of the season. That is quite interesting. That's quite very, very positive. So hit the like button. Let's get this video to 400 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We're very close to 61,000 subscribers, and you guys have brought us thus far. Now let's get into the content. So first and foremost, today Arsenal played out a 0-0 draw with Luton Town. And I was quite shocked when I saw the players that actually played in that game. It was our first 11: Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli. Look, everyone that is supposed to play in the West Ham game, I think for the exception of William Saliba, the rest of the players have actually been around, and they played a part in that 0-0 draw. Now, there is a big question that I have to ask myself as a concern for me. Is Gabriel Jesus' absence already affecting this team even we come back in the Premier League? Now, we might take this a little bit lightly and probably not focus on it, but it is going to be 9 Premier League games or more that Gabriel Jesus is going to be out. It's going to be a total of 10 competitive fixtures for Arsenal or more that Gabriel Jesus is going to be out. And we cannot start capitulating 2 games to West Ham, 2 games to Boxing Day, failing to score against Luton. Again, I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to be, dramatic. Probably it was a soft game. Probably it's a game where Mikel said, what I want to look at is something different, not how we score the goals and everything. But you look at how consistently we've been scoring goals with Gabriel Jesus on the pitch. We look at how consistently we've been performing well with Gabriel Jesus on the pitch. And now the twist of fate that we have Eddie Nketiah up top is quite alarming. And the fact that we've not scored any goals in the last 180 minutes of football, I don't care whether it's competitive or not. I don't care. That is our first 11, right? When we played the boys and most of the members of our first 11 were actually out, we were scoring the goals. We were doing well. But our first 11 is back. And the goals are nowhere to be seen. So I think the huge question is, what is the problem? Is it Gabriel Jesus and the reliance that we've had on him and on his back, that whenever he's there, he creates the chances? Because he already created 5 assists this campaign and 5 goals. Those are 10 goal contributions in his first 14 games for Arsenal, right? So is it the reliance on Gabriel Jesus that is right now affecting us? Or there is another reason, probably, that I actually don't even understand. Is it the fatigue from the boys from the World Cup? Partey, Xhaka, Martinelli, Saka, Ramsdale, and all these boys, and Tomiyasu. Is it the fatigue? Tomiyasu didn't play in that game, by the way, just to be clear, right? So I don't understand why we're not scoring the goals, but when the Premier League comes back, we need to score the goals. Our first 4 fixtures are very, very tricky. You have Newcastle in there, you have West Ham in there, and Brighton. Those are all clubs that can easily and safely keep you out of goal-scoring positions. They can easily make sure that you don't score against them. right? And then game number 4 is Tottenham Hotspur, and we know the rivalry is always on. So we need to find a way to get the goals back as quickly as we can. But I don't want to be dramatic again, but we should be scoring the goals, all right? So the Telegraph today have written a very interesting piece from Sam Dean, and it's actually pointed out that we are going to see a very juicy summer from the Kroenkes. The Kroenkes have actually told and assured Mikel Arteta and Edu that they're gonna back them until the end. So I think the Telegraph are one of those very reliable sources. I think the Telegraph and the Times, those two papers and outlets, I like them a lot. They don't publish on a daily, especially Arsenal content. They do publish on a daily, but not Arsenal content on a daily. So at times they just give you that kind of time, that kind of breathing space, to sieve the stories and probably give you the best, all right? So Sam Dean says the Kroenkes have actually told Edu and Mikel Arteta that come January, whatever they want to get them over the line, to stay in the race with Manchester City and probably stay ahead of Manchester City in that race for the Premier League, will actually be given to them. This same story was reported by David Ornstein. This same story was reported by Fabrizio Romano, and now the Telegraph are also coming out to give us the same confirmation. So I don't think it's going to be a big budget. I think it's still going to be around 50 million euros. But the fact that we have the full backing of the Kroenkes is something, that is something better, because we might need dramatically to change our options, to change our alternatives in January, go for players that we actually didn't plan. I'm looking at a winger, I'm looking at a midfielder, but we might need a striker, we might need a right back, we might need a centre back in case we pick up any injuries, okay? So the Kroenkes will back. They're okay with the idea of signing Mikhail Mudryk, which I've understood now that Arsenal will be willing to pay in excess of 65 million euros. The first deal could be around 50 million euros in terms of, in terms of straight payments, or in terms of guaranteed payments, and then what we have, what you call add-ons, or in terms of add-ons, the Arsenal could add around 10 to 20 million euros. So the deal could be actually close to 70 million euros when you add add-ons plus guaranteed payments. And I really don't have a problem with that, as long as we get the player, as long as we actually get the man. So the Kroenkes will be backing us. I'm really happy that they're not thinking about selling right about now, like Liverpool's FSG and Manchester United's Glazers right now. They're thinking about pushing us over the cliff. They're thinking about how Arsenal win the Premier League. It's going to be difficult, and we might be disappointed in the end. But the fact that they've actually come out and decided to push us, decided to give us a hand at this point in time, maybe I could just rethink about the whole idea of Kroenke out. I'm kidding, right? I'm absolutely kidding. But the Telegraph are saying that right now we are going to see the Kroenkes behind Mikel Arteta and behind Edu in January. And Arsenal fans do have a reason to be excited, and they do have a reason to celebrate probably by the end of the January transfer window. Still talking about Mikhail Mudryk, the Telegraph, still from Sam Dean, he says currently Alexander Zinchenko is one of the key factors in convincing Mikhail Mudryk to sign for Arsenal. We've already talked about it. He says it's going to be a major reason why Arsenal win the transfer race for Mikhail Mudryk. He says there's so many clubs interested in the player, including Real Madrid that he has actually played against in the UEFA Champions League. I don't think really Madrid need Mikhail Mudryk. I think Vinicius Jr., for me, one of the best left wingers in the world right now. I don't think they really need Mikhail Mudryk. But look, the Telegraph do believe that there is a lot of competition. There are so many clubs interested in signing Mikhail Mudryk, and Arsenal's Alexander Zinchenko is going to be a key reason why he chooses Arsenal over all these other sports and outlets. Okay, I think, look, Zinchenko is captain at Ukraine national team, and Mikhail Mudryk literally looks up to Alexander Zinchenko. I think the success stories from Ukraine, Yarmolenko, Zinchenko, and a couple of other players actually that I don't know about, but the most respected right now is Alexander Zinchenko. He's come to the Premier League. He's done it at Manchester City. He's done it with the most, decorated manager when it comes to world football. And now he's come at Arsenal, and probably he's gonna help us, tell Mikhail Mudryk, come at Arsenal. There is a wonderful project. There is a wonderful manager, a young manager that will understand you and your demands. When you come here, you will actually have some game time. You will have time to develop as a player, but also your career is gonna be set right. Okay, so I think that is that's kind of a cheat code, to be honest. But also, look, these are things that really happen all the time. These are things that these are advantages clubs always have all the time. So Alexander Zinchenko to help us sign Mikhail Mudryk. We hope that actually works. I mean, it's kind of very different from what happened with Odegaard and Haaland. With Odegaard and Haaland, it was never going to happen, okay? It was never going to happen. Odegaard didn't even bother talking about Arsenal to Haaland because the money, the project, and what the agency of Erling Haaland wanted for him as a talent, as a player, was very, very parallel to what is happening at Arsenal. But with Mikhail Mudryk, Zinchenko has a lot of influence on these boys. Zinchenko has a lot of influence on Ukrainian players. I think he might actually be able to make it happen. But still, we will actually wait and see what's going to happen out of there. Now, still talking about Mikhail Mudryk and his arrival, the Telegraph is saying that Mikel Arteta is prepared to use Gabriel Martinelli, Mikhail Mudryk and Bukayo Saka in the same lineup. Now, that actually means that we will be using Gabriel Martinelli as a number 9. We'll be using him as a centre forward, and the Telegraph is saying that Mikel Arteta is very open to that option of using Gabriel Martinelli as a number 9. I would be okay with this one, okay? Because I think when it comes to simulating, when it comes to kind of replicating what we get from Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli can actually give us that. He's a very, very wonderful player when it comes to, that ability on the ball, that ability off the ball, but also his ability to run into spaces and disorganize centre-backs. And we cannot forget, in my opinion, Gabriel Martinelli could be Arsenal's most clinical player. I mean, I'm not saying he's more clinical than Saka. I'm not saying he's more clinical than any other player, but in my opinion, if you had a 1v1 for Arsenal in the 90th minute, and you ask me right now in our team, including both strikers, Edin Ketia and Gabriel Jesus, who do I want that 1v1 situation to fall onto? It's Gabriel Martinelli. I think Saka is wasteful. Many people don't actually realize that because we love him, but he's wasteful. Gabriel Jesus, totally wasteful. Very, very wasteful. Edin Ketia, very wasteful as well. He's clinical though, isn't he? But I feel like he's a little bit wasteful as well, okay? So Martinelli can play as a number 9, given his clinical levels, and is a player that can work on his, game in any position. He's still very young. He's only 21, 22. So he can actually work on his game. He can actually work on those, runs in and out as a center forward, and before you know it, we have ourselves another center forward. So if Arsenal fail to get a number 9, I would be okay to the idea of us using Gabriel Martinelli down through the middle until Gabriel Jesus comes back, and when Jesus comes back, then we'll go to that phase of a selection dilemma, which I know either Mikhail Mudryk drops out of the starting 11 or Gabriel Martinelli drops out of the starting 11. So we wait and see. And finally, Arsenal are very close to an agreement between them and Fulham. So Cedric Suarez is one of the players that actually requested to leave in January. I think alongside Mohamed El-Neni as well. A couple of other players also would love to leave in January because they feel they don't have that game time and they're actually unutilized. Okay, Tomiyasu is also one of the players that have been reportedly unhappy with the situation at Arsenal and he would love to move on. But I think with Cedric Suarez as a backup player at right back, I'm okay with letting him go. I think the left back position is well covered with KROENKE and Alexander Zinchenko deputizing each other. At right back, Ben White and Tomiyasu can also deputize each other very well. So I wouldn't really want us to weaken our squad. But if he wants to go, if he doesn't want to be here, then in the first place, he doesn't have to be here. So if he wants to go, and Mikel feels the cover he has at right back is enough, then he can definitely go. So Fulham want him. We'll be talking later, probably tomorrow, to see whether they get him or they actually don't get him. And I'll see you very, very soon.